Go forth and prevail.
Go! Go! Go, Web, go!
Nobody's getting hurt.
Gamer community is from globally. We have from Latin America, we have from Asia, as well as USA and also Europe. So I think this is one of the very key distinctions that we have and we can bring onto the table for Web3 gaming.
Maraming mga opportunities sa Web3. You can start from knowing what is wallet, something like that, right? What is token? What is crypto? From there, kung gamers kayo at heart, you can onboard yourself or your friends.
Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind, this my prime. Let me tell them one time, I've been on the grind.
Talking to you as students, as our fellow community members in Metaversity and YGG is really helping us to shape a much larger program for education for Web3 and really providing more of these economic opportunities to as many Filipinos as we can.
I already knew that I wanted to be involved in video games. Alam ko parang naisip ko habang naglalaro ako ng mga games na to, sino ba yung gumagawa ng mga games na to? Paano ba siyang ginagawa? So when I graduated in 2000, I knew I wanted to become a game developer.
Again, we have two options on how you can trade cash or crypto sa CoinsPH. First, you can use the spot trade, and second, you can use the buy and sell feature.
I've been on the grind, and this is my prime. Let me tell them one time. Sit them all in my prime. Let me tell them one time. I've been on the grind, feeling real good, yeah, all in my prime. It's about that time. Say your goodbyes, 'cause ain't no match for the way that I grind, yeah, I'm all in my prime.
Hello, good morning, good evening to everybody tuning in from the YGG fam, from the Ember Sword community. I am Fallen Corpses, your community manager, joined by our lovely co-host here, Sedano, and our friends from Ember Sword team,
Jim.
Ben.
Jim,
Hey guys.
What's going on, guys? Good morning.
Good morning.
Ben, seems like you've got a lot of exciting news and a lot of big things happening in Ember Sword. So happy that we could put this together and that you guys reached out. You guys are one of the OG partners here to YGG way back, and been heads down building a lot of exciting things. And I think today you're telling me your game is finally like open for pretty much everybody to take a look and give a test out to.
Yep, absolutely. We timed it really well, obviously, streaming now and suddenly everybody flying in. So obviously things are kind of breaking and we're trying to fix them as we go. But yeah, we're really excited. We launched the closed beta a week ago, and our plan was to have a good few weeks of testing, try and kind of iron everything out. but that went so well. We had a response that was kind of way beyond what we expected. And so, yeah, today we're really happy that we can kind of open it up and get more people in the door as well. So, yeah, and as you say, we've been developing for a while. We've been not shouting about what we're doing because we've been really focused on kind of trying to build an amazing game. But yeah, the last kind of week or so and the next few weeks are really exciting for us because it's a chance to get players in the game and kind of see what they think. And yeah, so it's a really, really exciting time to talk to you.
Yeah, get players in the game and see what kind of stuff they end up breaking. That's how it usually goes.
Yeah, it's already I mean, that's part of the. We had last year we had a test where we did Ultra Deep, and that was basically one of the first dungeons. So that's not playable right now. That will come again in the future. But our challenge there really was to try and kind of fix and close bugs as quickly as players found them, and in the end we just completely lost. And people are just so smart and clever. So I think we had set an internal time of about 35 minutes. We thought it would take people, really good group to get through that dungeon, and by the end of it people were doing it in 2 or 3 minutes because they found all these incredible ways to get around all the stuff that we put in. So that was a good learning experience for us as well. And so this test, we've gone in with the kind of mindset of like, we know that people are going to break things, so let's kind of just hope that they break things as quickly as possible so that we can fix them.
Exactly. That's the whole fun of a beta/alpha, right? Is
Yep.
having these people in, testing it, and seeing what goes wrong. Like, we've seen it with almost every other game that's popped into the YGG community. It takes only a couple hours, and people are min-maxing the best ways, most efficient
Yep.
ways to do stuff, right?
Exactly.
So on that note, just before we really start diving in here, as everyone can see, we have the Ember Sword website up right now. You guys can go create an account, log in, and actually play right now. You don't need anything additional to that, right, Ben? You just need the account.
Just the account, but so we're on testnet at the moment. Part of why we're doing the test right now is because obviously we want to try and iron things out before we move over to mainnet. But if you do want to help us test things like cosmetic and collectible drops, then you also need to connect your wallet. But if you just want to play, then yeah, just Ember Sword account is all you need.
Perfect, right? So right now we're actually in the North American server, as you can see on Sedano's screen there. For whatever reason, so many people are joining the SEA server that it's not quite working. So if you do want to jump in and you can't figure out why the South East Asian server isn't working, the North American one seems to be PG for now, until everybody jumps in and
Yeah,
crashes that one.
until the curse. Yeah.
Exactly. So why don't we just start off with some like basic information for people that aren't quite familiar with what Ember Sword is, Ben? Like what type of game it is, how the world's kind of set up, and then maybe we'll dive into like what kind of Web3 mechanics you guys are gonna have.
Totally. Yeah. So first things to note, obviously this is a test, what you guys are seeing right now. So just for kind of context, this is probably about 10% at the most of stuff that we've got in various stages of development. So this is stuff that we are, we wanted to get into players' hands as quickly as possible so that, as you already mentioned, you can test it, you can break it. That's all amazing information for us. But just in terms of the wider context, so Ember Sword is we're calling it a social sandbox MMO. The thoughts behind the game, outside of the Web3 elements, are that we wanted to kind of go back a little bit to what we thought kind of MMOs were really about a few years ago. And the reason for that is because they were so good and they kind of made such an impact on our lives, many of the development team, many of the marketing team, etc., that we wanted to kind of recapture some of that magic, and then obviously bring the Web3 stuff in as well, because we felt like that combination was something that was kind of really special. So the emphasis in Ember Sword is on creating your own fun, creating your own adventure. Obviously, player-driven economy, play your own land, all that kind of good stuff. But also, if you look at kind of other kind of classic MMOs, rather than kind of holding your hand through everything that you do, We really wanted to kind of give you a world that was really deep and rich and broad, and give you a lot of opportunities to try and kind of craft your own story, craft your own adventure. So, if you want to craft stuff and just kind of make your way through the game by crafting stuff and selling it to other players, or you just want to kind of develop land, or you want to go and kill everybody else in PvP, or whatever it is, we want to try and kind of create a game that allowed for all those different kind of play styles. Our team is made up of really interesting people, some of which in the founding team, for example, are people who are ex esports pros. They're people who have built MMOs from the ground up before. So there's a lot of emphasis in Ember Sword around a game that rewards mastery. So there's depth here. We wanted a game that we felt like would stand the test of time, would be around for years and years. So there's lots of things that go into that. There's like having a world that's deep and rich and like loads of amazing story. But what we're testing right now particularly is around things like combat. So is it just fun to play? Is there a reward for investing time into developing your mastery around skill and things like that? So as you can see right now, you only have one ability available, the whirlwind ability, but as you level up and you get new levels, other abilities unlock, and some of those are skill shots, right? So they're things that you have to aim, things that you have to time, stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is kind of, and this is only the first weapon that you can play at the moment. We have other weapons that we've tested before and that are in the pipe as well. And the idea is obviously as you kind of gain mastery through those different weapons, that allows you to explore different play styles. So for things like PvP, PvE, all those different things, the hope is, or the design ambition is, that as you play and as you invest more time, the game rewards you more and more and more.
Excellent. Yeah, it looks already pretty polished just from the brief time that I've played here. The world itself, did you pull any inspiration? Did the team pull any inspiration from like any of the other MMOs like RuneScape, I don't know, World of Warcraft? I think again, we're MMO players, so there's definitely inspiration from a lot of other MMOs and a lot of other worlds, kind of game worlds in general. The idea though in this world is that it kind of stands alone. So there's so much lore, and we've done a lot of work around the lore that will release kind of later on. So I don't know if you remember the Ultra Deep playtest where we had Shock as the kind of main character. His lore is like thousands of pages long, and we're only able to tell the story, probably about 2 of those pages. So the world is incredibly well developed, and we're only really starting to scratch the surface, especially with this. But then in terms of, as you mentioned, things like RuneScape, what we loved about RuneScape is you can play your own way. It doesn't, if you want to quest, if you want to PvP, etc., it's up to you. So that was definitely a big inspiration for us when we were thinking about Ember Sword, was kind of that ability to play in the style that suited you.
Yeah, sorry, let me jump in real quick here, Fallen. So Ben, I was actually one of the guys who hosted your AMA for Ultra Jeep with the YGG community, and one of the main things that I noticed is that you guys have kind of given more access to the players to have control over the POV, right? And also the overall look and feel of the characters. So it used to be like just mainly a top down, and like just very far. The camera used to be very far, and you couldn't really like move that around. And now it's a lot smoother, and also it does give me a very like POV World of Warcraft type of feel that it's more immersive, right? I get to see more details on the character. Why is that? Or is that specifically for dungeon modes? Like what was the thought there?
No, that is a great question. And so no, it's very intentional. So one of the things that we are kind of big believers in is build like game design that's centered around players. So when we do tests like this, obviously they take time, they take resources, but the reason why we think they're super important is because all the feedback we then get, we take away and we try and incorporate. And so one of the things that we had for Ultra Deep was, so previously up until that point, the game was isometric, like you mentioned, and we actually in Ultra Deep, we had both control methods available, so like free camera or isometric, and WASD or moving around with your mouse. And what we found was the feedback was really overwhelming, that people wanted this, as you see now, the kind of view that we have. And I think it's exactly the reason, as you mentioned, it's just a lot more immersive, and obviously this is an MMO, so immersion is incredibly important. The other thing, or like a nice wrinkle with that, is obviously, although we had already created a ton of art for the game, when you switch from isometric to like free look, all of a sudden you need to go back and redo tons of the things that you've already made. So for example, we were only in our big cities, you've got tons of buildings that didn't have a back because we didn't need to have a back, and so we had to go through and kind of render all those again, model them again, kind of do all that stuff. So our art team has been working super hard to try and get everything ready. So that was one. The other thing is, I think, as you can kind of see, like we have our own engine. So in addition to developing Ember Sword just as a game, we're also developing our own engine, which allows us to, or allows you guys to play Ember Sword through the web. I'll talk about that maybe a little bit later, because I think that's a whole other thing to go into. But one of the things that has happened since Ultra Deep to now is we've made so many upgrades to the engine. Things like lighting, shadows, how we render different things like effects and things. So you're seeing I think it's like a generational leap forward since Ultra Deep, and that's only going to keep happening as we kind of go through different tests.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel upgraded in many ways, and yeah, it's getting closer and closer. Super exciting stuff, Ben.
Yeah, it's one of the things I was talking to Ben actually when we were having our chat yesterday. Was I was a little bit worried that my PC wasn't going to be able to play it. Sedano, you've got like a beast of a PC, so I'm not surprised. But I know for a lot of our community here, that's one of their biggest questions is, first off, is it mobile? So yep. Ben, do you have any? Well, I guess you can play it on mobile because it's on browser, right? Like you could still pull it up. Have you guys tested that yet?
You can arguably play on browser. So we've had people play on Steam Decks, on phones, etc. Definitely not optimized for those platforms yet. So right now, PC is the one that we're optimizing. 100%. The thing that we're really excited about is in the slightly longer term is that we want to be cross-platform, and obviously mobile is a huge priority for us. And so whilst it's not available, or rather while it's not optimized for mobile, that's something that we're bearing heavily in mind when we develop and kind of go through now. So right now it is optimized for PC, but definitely later on we're cross-platform is a huge priority for us too.
So it's as you said, they can play on mobile, just don't expect it to be as smooth as if you were playing on the PC.
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. So there you go, guys. Even if you have mobile, you want to give it a shot, don't expect it to be super crisp, but yeah. I'm sure they would enjoy the feedback if you're a mobile player, which is awesome, right? That's one of the big questions that everybody, our community, always asks is like, well, I don't have a PC or I've got a potato of a PC, but I have a really good phone. Can I still try it out? So it's great to hear, even though it's not optimized, people can still hop in and give it a try. Wow. Sedano, you leveled up your weapon, which is actually one of the questions we have from chat here, Ben. Mausama is asking if you're going to be able to have different weapons and how your mastery will affect that. So I'm assuming you're kind of going a similar route as like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, where you'll have, levels for multiple different aspects of the game, and combat is one of those.
Yeah, so the way that we're building, or the way we kind of imagined Ember Sword being slightly different to, say, like WoW, is we wanted there to be some flexibility. So if you want to play in a slightly different way, you don't have to roll a new character and start again. So the idea behind Ember Sword and the kind of combat and everything is your abilities and your level are tied to the weapon that you're using right now. So when you're leveling up, you're actually leveling experience related to that weapon. And then if you change to a new weapon, the rest of your character stays exactly the same, obviously, but then you just need to level up again, say like, so we've got like a staff or a sensor coming later on down the line. People already played those in Ultra Deep. And so there'll be separate experience levels based on weapon. And then the idea is that you'll be able to switch between weapons really fluidly if you want to kind of change up your playstyle.
Excellent. So Hopefully that answers Malsama's question. I think it does. But like you said, it goes back to this free flowing thing where you really only need to have one character. You don't need to roll multiple different ones. You can just switch out your gears, switch out your stuff on what you want to focus on that day, that week, right? So if you want to just be an exceptional crafter, you can do that. But if for some reason you're feeling like, I want to try some of the combat stuff out, it's an equip a weapon and then start leveling up that tree.
Yeah, it's also, it's thinking about kind of, again, like a lot of us are MMO players, so it's thinking about like challenges that we might have had in other MMOs. And if you guys ever played like tanks or healers, for example, in other MMOs, so there were definitely periods of time where your kind of experience was, different maybe than if you were a DPS. So yeah, like the big emphasis is on playing with friends or playing in a guild, playing in a party. And so what we didn't want was, people having like forced to roll in characters that they didn't really want to play just so that they could kind of go through content. So the idea is that, if everybody has that option available to them, they can kind of just switch between weapons on the fly. Then we felt that would really kind of unlock a lot from a social point of view.
On that note, so I'm assuming you guys have plans for like in-game guilds.
We have a I think the right thing to say is, we have plans for so many things and we've thought about a lot of stuff, and obviously the kind of core part of Ember Sword is the social side, but yeah, not super ready to talk about all of that yet.
That's in the works. It's secret. You can't leak anything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So another question I know we're gonna have. So this is, do you consider this a beta or an alpha?
Yeah, it's really hard. As a marketing person, which I am, this is one of these things that as a marketing team or a marketing person, you can spend a long time thinking and talking about this and then wonder, how important that really is. So, what an alpha is to one company is different to what it might be to another. So I think maybe the right way to answer that is kind of how we're thinking about Ember Sword this year, and that will probably give people an idea of where we're at, because I think that's really what it is where are we at in terms of development. So right now what people can play is, as you can see, it's a small slice. It's what we really wanted to test was the kind of core loop, because obviously if we start adding in tons of content but no one wants to play the game, it doesn't feel fun, then obviously we've kind of gone down the wrong path there as a team. So this is the very beginning of the kind of testing that we're going to do this year, and it's the kind of smallest slice. Once this has been tested, our plan after this is to move to mainnet, and so the focus after this part of the playtest will be really on the kind of collectibles and cosmetic side. Unfortunately, the shop doesn't work exactly as we wanted right now. If you click into the shop right now, you can just see the cosmetics that you've got through the drops that you've had so far. The plan is pretty soon is that we want to have things available for sale in there as well, because part of the stuff that we wanted to test is obviously around the kind of shop as well. So that'll probably be next up. As we're adding like content to the game, we also want to carry on testing the kind of the Web3 side of things as well. But later on in the year, our goal is, and this is still Q4, so and you probably have done enough kind of work with game teams to know that plans change quite a lot, but Q4 is when we want to go into early access. And so early access for us is there's a much better kind of realized version of what you're playing now. So a lot more content, a lot more of the world available to play, and things like social features, all that kind of stuff. We want that to be ready as well. So we're kind of at the beginning of our testing, and kind of where we want to be. But our plan is to kind of launch into early access in a few months.
So does that mean any progress that players make, obviously in this test net, will not get carried over to the mainnet?
Exactly. Yeah. It'll be wiped.
Unfortunate, but that's how these things always go, right?
Yeah.
So we've actually got a lot of people that are interested in asking questions. So obviously you'll have PvP. I think you already touched on that. You said you have some great esports players on the team that are going to help you polish that. So that's always great news to hear. That'll probably come, I'm assuming, a little bit later. After
you right now. So
really?
Yeah. So there's there's 2 PvP arenas in the game. If you go into those, you can just kind of PvP as you normally would. But also the capital, so in the middle on the map there, that's a PvP zone. So basically the way that it's going to work with Ember Sword is things like resources, loot, all that kind of stuff. The best quality stuff is going to be in PvP areas. So it won't just be a case of like leveling up your skill and going and getting that. You'll also be competing against other players for the best resources as well. So right now we've got like obviously like a slice of that you can test, which is the capital itself. It's got the hardest monsters, so they have the best loot, but also it's PvP, so you'll be fighting against other players when you go in for those objectives as well.
We'll definitely have players testing that out. More questions here. We've got a lot,
Cool.
which is always awesome. So Crypto
Yeah.
Said is asking, is there going to be a bunch of leaderboard stuff? So gathering, PvP, what do you guys have in store for that kind of stuff?
We have plans for lots of leaderboards. So obviously when we did Ultra Deep, we put in a leaderboard there for like the quickest time through, and it, as I said earlier, it just kind of went crazy and drove stuff that we weren't expecting at all. So definitely we have, so next week, if everything goes to plan, we are launching our campaign around killing Canavar. So he's at the moment, he's the hardest monster in the game. And people that kill him and get his head will be able to compete for amazing prizes like tons of Ember, land plots, things like that. So we'll share more of that next week if people stay tuned to our socials and join our Discord, which you should definitely do. But in terms of leaderboards in general, so there'll be a leaderboard for that, but as we go through the game and things start to kind of get a little bit more established, in addition to kind of leaderboards just for the game, we're also planning on continuing to partner with other partners that kind of run leaderboards with games, which kind of tied to things like airdrops and other kind of competitions as well. So we're exploring different ways. We're going to have some kind of ones that we run, but also obviously through partnerships with external partners as well. So yeah, tons of leaderboards will be coming.
Excellent. Yeah, that's our community is always gung ho for leaderboards, and as you were saying, right, they're going to try and find the best way to exploit that. So I'm sure you'll see lots of YGG players participating in that event. And wink, wink for the people that are looking to fill out that form for the giveaway that we have. You might have just heard the answer there. For that, so be sure to go fill out that form for the giveaway, as the Ember Sword team has been gracious enough to give us 50k Ember tokens to give away. So that will be split into 10 prizes of 5,000 tokens each, which is quite a large sum. It's definitely nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, awesome.
And on that note, it's a good segue here. Like, what is kind of the Web3 mix? Like, what are those tokens going to be used for in game? How's this economy going to work?
So I think one of the obviously there's other games that do it, but one of the slight differences about Ember Sword versus other stuff is how we're monetizing. And I think we're all gamers, and we've played games where you buy power, and we felt like it just kind of ruined game balance. It ruined the experience. What we're going for with Ember Sword is going to be free to play, and the thing about free to play is you have to have a huge amount of players that don't spend any money having an absolutely amazing time for that model to work. And we felt like we've worked at companies like Riot, Blizzard, and many other games companies, CD Projekt Red, etc. So when we looked at the kind of monetization for Ember Sword, we wanted to come up with a system that obviously supports the game and creates amazing moments for people to customize and collect things, but that didn't get in the way of the game, like the longevity of the game, people playing the game around the world, etc. So basically the way that we're going to monetize through Ember Sword is through collectibles and through customization. So you'll see when you play, even now, although it's on testnet, you'll get collectibles drop as you go through. And so obviously if that was on mainnet, you'd be able to put those collectibles up, sell them either through the game internally or on external marketplaces. So most of the actual stuff that you'll be able to buy will be cosmetics first. So you won't need it to progress. It won't make you more powerful. it'll just make you look super cool. And then in terms of Ember itself, like our token, the way it can be used, obviously to buy things in game. We're also going to have this mechanic with collectibles as they drop, where you'll be able to merge them together to create kind of better quality versions of them. So, for example, if you get like 4 level 1 cosmetics of the same type drop, then you'll be able to merge them together with a little bit of Ember to get a higher quality version of that as well. We're also using it to kind of reward and incentivize land ownership. So people who own land can will get a slice of stuff that is sold through the game. So obviously stuff that's sold through Ember, a portion of that will go back into the landowners as well to kind of incentivize them building cool stuff on their land, which obviously creates content for players. So there's that kind of like virtuous circle going on there as well. So yeah, so it's mostly for buying and trading, but also for merging as well, stuff in the game.
Okay, yeah. So for cosmetics and stuff like that, but there is no pay to win. You guys have already tackled that. There's no way somebody who's a big whale is going to be able to come in and just dominate the game. Perfect.
Yes.
That's always one of the big things that's on everyone's mind.
Yeah.
Actually, we have somebody with a bunch of cosmetics right now in game from our community. Bien.
Very cool.
He's right here at the beginning, Sedano. I don't know if you can make your way back, but he's got...
I don't think I'll be able to get back there. Yeah, let's try.
He's got some seriously fancy stuff. He's got what's your mascot's name, Ben? The little like red
Whiskers.
panda thing?
Yeah,
Whiskers. Yeah, he's got the whole Whiskers costume and everything going on. Is the level cap 15 as well right now for this playtest?
30.
30. Okay, so this guy's only halfway, and he's got some cool cosmetics. So
yeah,
is there any like secret world bosses or stuff in this playtest that players should be looking out for besides the boss that you said earlier?
Just what I would say is if you want to challenge the capital is definitely where to go. So we wanted to kind of, at the moment, obviously, because the focus on testing, we want you to kind of go and explore a bit, level up, etc. But ideally, we're kind of urging you towards the capital so that players kind of meet in the middle there, because PvP is a wonderful way of us testing things like mechanics and balance. And in the capital, that's where the kind of hardest bosses and mobs that you'll face all are. So yeah, that's definitely what I recommend doing. You definitely need to level up and gear up first before you go, but once you do, that's where I would head.
Excellent. You heard it here, guys. And party size is obviously 5 players max, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you guys have a mechanic for adding friends right now?
I don't think we have a friend list right now. I think just when you're in the game, you add people. But obviously, like longer term, that's definitely a priority.
Excellent. Another big question that we're getting right now is how are the factions going to play a part? Because I know there's a few, 3 or 4 different factions, correct?
Yeah. So kind of going back to what I was saying. So if the slice that you guys are playing right now is like maybe a very small fraction of Solarwood, which is, one of the main kind of areas and then home to one of the main factions, we have 4 factions in total. So we obviously have a huge amount of world and of content kind of in the pipeline as you explore those different lands and the factions that control them. Right now, like when you come in a few months, the way that we've kind of built the story is that there's been an event that's happened in Solarwood, which has caused a massive flux storm. So within Ember Sword, flux is essentially the magic or the mana, and nobody in the game as you come into the game knows what's caused it. It's obviously like a huge event. It's caused lots of devastation and lots of destruction, everything. Without spoiling too much, the people behind the event or may not be behind the event, there's already some story there around the kind of factions at play and kind of competing with each other. So that's definitely, we have a lot to kind of share on that. One of the cool things that we did, we're working on episode 2 at the moment, but if you go and check out our YouTube channel, if you're into D&D at all, we've run a campaign in the Ember Sword universe, and one of the goals of that is it actually came from a community request, because they wanted us to kind of explore the story that we have in different ways, and so that Dungeons and Dragons campaign starts to explore more around the stories and the factions and stuff, just to give you a bit of kind of outside context for the game as well. But yeah, we have a lot to share on that in the future.
Yeah, it sounds like the game's very, very story rich. You have some people in your team that are really, really gung ho about putting together the best playing game, and then another group that's really about just crafting this really cool lore and story behind everything.
I think you need both for a great MMO, So that's totally agree.
Yeah. So, are you guys familiar with our GAP program or Guild Advancement program, Ben?
I'm not.
Okay, that's something we're definitely going to have to link up on. So we're on season 6 right now, and it's essentially like where we layer additional quests or events for things to happen to build people's on-chain reputation, not only in games but on for various other things, whether it's community work, community building stuff. And we always have to wait till games are actually in a playable state before we add them to the GAP, because people have to be able to participate. So we'll definitely be reaching out to your team, maybe for future seasons, on how we can include Ember Sword in that mix, because I already see a few people commenting on Discord when Ember Sword gaps. So
awesome. Yeah, that sounds great.
We'll definitely add you there. As you can see, we've got a bunch of people that have logged in. There's Bien with his outfit there. And is that like an earnable cosmetic? Is that because he's got NFTs?
So yeah, though, basically the way that will happen is, as you play, there's certain cosmetics that will drop, and then there'll be certain cosmetics that will only be in the shop. Right now, the stuff that's in the game that you can play is all droppable. So everything that you get so far is just through drops. And then the idea will be, later on we'll add kind of more cosmetics in both to buy or to get. But yeah, everything you see right now, you just get through playing.
Excellent. So people, if you want to, look super cool again.
You zoom in a little bit on Whiskers there, like is it possible to get like a closer, because he's so cool if you get a little bit closer to him? I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, I think Sedano you can scroll in and see, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah, there you go. Showcasing the skin there.
Yeah, so he's got a weapon skin and the Whisker skin there. So they're both examples of kind of what drops right now.
Cool. So you can play, kill some high level monsters, and there's a chance you're gonna look as cool as being here.
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent.
And I would say our art team is absolutely incredible, and so one of the most exciting parts about my job is kind of seeing what they've already developed. So, I mean, it wouldn't be an exaggeration to say, we already have just so many incredible skins that we're really excited to get into the game. The challenge that I have is I can't share them as yet, but as soon as we can, we have a ton of stuff that we're really excited to share with everybody, because that team is so incredible at what they do.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the concept art that your team's been releasing, and it's like top notch. It's AAA game studio style concept art.
Yeah.
Another question we have here, Ben, is there other weapon types in this playtest right now besides the sword and shield? Like, is it the bow? Is there a spear and stuff that you can get?
Yeah, so not in this test. We really wanted to focus on sword and shield at the moment, but we have several other weapons that we'll be bringing back in future tests. Excellent.
Is there the possibility with cross collaboration for items and games? Because I know we have our own YGG Sword and Shield skin.
Nice.
Have you guys thought about possibly adding other community stuff into the game or mixing that in there?
Definitely. We it's one of those things at the moment. We have more ideas and more opportunities, I think, than we can actually take advantage of. But we definitely, I think, one of the things. So I've only been in the Web3 space for the last 18 months. So I'm frequently kind of going to my team and saying, hey, explain this to me again, I don't want to get this wrong, kind of thing. But as I've gone through, one of the things that's impressed me the most is the kind of collaboration and the partnerships that go across everybody in the space. It's one of the things that I really love and kind of get excited about working in the space every day, is kind of how everybody, it feels like everyone's really passionate about the space, and so they kind of want to work with each other to try and kind of make it a success. So definitely in terms of just kind of typical partnerships, but also like guild partnerships and in-game content, events, all that kind of stuff, that's definitely a huge focus for us.
Exactly. Yeah, that's been one of the big things that I've noticed as well, being in the space for almost 4 years now, is like everybody really wants to lift up each other as much as possible in the space,
Yeah.
which I'm not sure, because I haven't worked in the Web 2 space, if that's the same thing. Maybe it's more PvP in that space.
It depends, doesn't it? Yeah, it can be lovely, but also, yeah, it can be very competitive as well.
Exactly. It's a business. Everybody's trying to vibe for their,
Yeah.
own part of the pie there. We've got another question here. What networks are you guys looking to support? So, Ethereum, Polygon, Ronin.
Yeah. So we're on IMX. That at the moment is all I can really say about networks. But we
Okay.
are definitely like, I think like we're looking around at games and kind of which networks kind of work, and IMX, our partner, might be something we look at kind of later on down the line, but for now we're just kind of focused on making it work with IMX.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that works for us. I think a lot of people are familiar with Immutable, right? Because we right now a lot of people are playing Guild of Guardians, which is also on IMX. So they're doing good. A lot of games, start off with one chain but end up becoming chain agnostic after a while, just because so many people, a lot of people don't like to bridge tokens between chains if they can avoid it, right? So
Yeah, of course.
glad to hear that you guys are at least that's on the table down the road. As we say with a lot of things, right? It's like get the things that are important out, see what the community likes, and then if having another chain added to that list is something big once the game is out, then you worry about it. But in the beginning, it's all about gameplay, right? It's about getting that product out, letting people test it, play it, and then worrying about all the additional little things after that.
Totally. And I think like one of the things I'm really excited about with Ember Sword is the engine as well, just to touch on that kind of super briefly. But like, so this is, I mean, you're playing right now. To me, very quickly when you start playing, you kind of forget that you're playing in a browser. And it's like a little magic trick that happens.
You definitely do. Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
And that is, it's like, it's one of those things where like when you work with a game every day, it kind of happens over time and you don't really notice that exact moment. But I think going between, you actually mentioned it earlier, Sedano, the Ultra Deep to now, and kind of how it looks and feels different. I think even just from a feel perspective, like the engine has come a long way in a very short amount of time. What we're really excited about with that is that, like, for example, like normally when you do like cloud gaming, the way that it works is you're streaming video to and from like a cloud computer, so you get inherently like tons of latency, but also it's still really bandwidth dependent, so it doesn't really solve the problem of people playing in spaces where they don't have the best internet. And so what this does is, because it's streaming the game, but it's actually like it's streaming packets as you play. I think like latency, things like that, they're just not a problem in the way that kind of cloud gaming is. So that's what I'm really excited about with this is the kind of accessibility and the fact that we're going to be able to get so many people in to play. And it's back to what you were saying at the start about like, you don't need an incredible PC. Obviously, hopefully in the not too distant future, you'll be able to play on a whole kind of range of devices together with all of your friends or people around the world. And so that is a huge focus for us. So things like chains and all that kind of stuff, obviously there's a lot of work involved in kind of moving chains or becoming chain agnostic, like you said. So right now our focus is on like make a great game, but also make a great engine, because obviously if we make a great engine, then Ember Sword really benefits. But as a company, Brightstar, we're really excited about the super long-term future. So it's obviously Ember Sword is 100% our focus now, and it will be over the next few years. But even beyond that, we're really excited about what the engine will be able to do for Web3 games, and then beyond that, kind of Web2 as well.
Yeah, on that note, like, again, the fact that Sedano can play on the NA server, actually a lot of our PH team can play on the NA server and not have any like gameplay issues is really great. Because I'm from North America, right? So like, if I want to hop on the South East Asian server, usually, as you said in other games, my ping is horrible. I'm like lagging around and stuff. It's just unplayable. But this looks like I'll be able to hop in the other server with everybody else and play with them, and I'll be able to play and have no problems.
That's the hope.
So on that note, I know we've got like about 8 more minutes or so. Guys, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in there. Remember, we do have that giveaway, the forum. If Sedano, maybe you can put that back up on screen. I know you're enjoying playing right now, but just put the link to the forum there. And as you were saying, you guys are going to have that event where you guys have to kill what boss, Ben?
Canavar is the name of the
Canavar.
boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And essentially, like, can you give us the details on that event, like the breakdown, or are you gonna wait till that completely comes out before you give the details?
Yeah, no. So the only reason is our plan was, or the way that we want it to work is that teams will have to figure out like teamwork, working together, but also the PvP part, right? So like when you go and kill Canavar, you're not only trying to kill Canavar, you're also competing against other teams to kill him. So that's going to encourage a ton of PvP. But the idea behind it is that you'll sign up as a team, and then over the next however long, we're still figuring out dates, but over a period of time, you'll kill Canavar. As you kill him, there'll be a way of getting Canavar's head, and then the team with the most heads at the end of the competition will win. So we're going to have prizes for, we think, maybe the top 3 teams. Again, this might change a little bit by early next week, so stay tuned to our socials. But yeah, so the top 3 teams are going to give away a ton of Ember, and then for everybody that didn't win, we're going to enter them into, but has one of Canavar's heads, we're going to enter into a competition and give away some land plots. So Solarwood, as you can see right now, we have some land that we're going to give away as well. So yeah, so the focus is if you come and play now, you're going to get a head start either way, even if you can't get the heads right now, which you can't. I get asked that question about 50,000 times a day on Discord at the moment. So unfortunately, you can't get the heads right now, but leveling up your character, getting your gear up, figuring out like where you're going on the map and everything like that, that's going to give you a massive advantage for next week when we kick the competition off.
So in other words, guys, start putting together teams, level up, get the best gear, and come in there. That's really interesting the way you're doing it. So it's like PvP, PvE, sort of, where you could be killing this boss, doing a really good job, and some other team could come in and just like totally boof you.
Yes. It's going to be the best of times and the worst of times, I imagine. But yeah, it's part of. So again, like when we're thinking about like social gaming and a world driven by players, it isn't all hand holding and rainbows, right? Like there's a lot in there about kind of the interaction and interplay between people, like the politics that goes on, kind of backstabbing, all that kind of stuff. So even for the competition now, we wanted to come up with something that was like fun and rewarding, but also kind of started to introduce those elements of kind of the core game as well. And watch out for those spears; they are nasty.
Too late there, buddy.
Yeah. Another thing that we're getting asked quite a bit is how long? Do you have an end date for this playtest roughly?
Yeah, I think over the next kind of maybe 2 or 3 weeks, probably. Again, this might change at any point, but definitely our goal was to get as much good data as we could. And so we'll leave it open definitely for as long as we run the Canavar competition. And then we'll probably do some kind of reset and then kind of bring it back up again. So we don't have a hard date in mind, but it will probably be a few weeks.
Okay, cool. So it'll be open for a few weeks. It might close for a bit for you guys to get your data, do some tweaks to the server, to the engine, and then it'll be back up again. Yeah. But it won't be on mainnet. Mainnet is, you're aiming for Q4 this year?
Mainnet we're aiming for around September. So
pretty soon.
Again, that might change. But yeah, mainnet we're aiming for around September, maybe October, and then once we've kind of done all the testing there, early access, we're hoping for Q4.
Excellent. So early access is when you'll be able to keep your character data and it's not going to get reset again.
Oh, there won't be any reset from mainnet onwards.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it may be a limited amount of people will be able to play at that point before we kind of go into. We haven't figured out exactly how it's going to work in terms of access and stuff. And we'll have
cool.
more content by then, so we'll have more stuff that we need to test. That's kind of the thinking.
Oh, that's really exciting. Yeah, I was thinking like, we'd be seeing mainnet next year, but you're saying it's only a few months out.
That's the plan, right? Yeah, I don't. Yeah,
Fingers crossed. Fingers
I've worked,
crossed.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of games, so I always have to put caveats in. But yeah, that's our goal anyway.
Excellent. Well, that's great news for us. As you can see, a lot of the community is already enjoying playing it. They're already starting to piece together some teams. I see people chatting in there who's going to be what teams. So you'll see a lot of YGG players in there. And, if you guys are gating the mainnet to it, maybe I'll have to reach out and talk to you guys about getting some codes, or at least putting a list of players that want to get in early to that mainnet, if that's cool.
Yeah, of course.
Excellent. Ben, Sedano, any closing thoughts or comments that you want to put before we wrap up the stream?
Maybe on my end, it's really. I'm curious on would you guys ever put out a client, right? Or will we be? You might have answered this earlier, but will we be on web for a while?
It'll be web forever.
Gotcha.
So,
but
yes.
Are there any trade-offs, right? Then having just a standalone client that you pop up if you want to play versus having the whole thing by web.
Yeah, I think if anyone ever tells you that there's like a magic solution to something with no trade-offs, then they probably just don't understand like the trade-offs themselves. But so trying to develop in this way is a lot more complex. You're trying to make when the guys first started building the engine, they actually built it as a test, right, to see if it actually even could be done, because what we're doing with the tech, it hasn't been done before, and that's why we're really excited about it. That's why I originally, when I joined, it was like 18 months ago, the coming kind of through the recruitment process, the thing that I was really excited about from a gaming perspective was the engine. That was before I really even knew much about Ember Sword, the game. But yeah, so the trade-offs are, it's a lot more difficult. You're limited in so many ways. What we actually did is, if you check out our website, we have some development blogs at the top, and there was one from like a couple of months ago where we kind of did a bit more of a deep dive into the engine and kind of why we're approaching it in that way. And the guys can explain it a lot better than I am, because I am not a technical person at all. But yeah, in the short term, doing it this way is a lot more difficult. But when we do it in this way, the upsides are so big, right? Like it's really about, exactly as we've covered already, so many more people will be able to play, but not just be able to play, but actually have like a really good experience. And that's ultimately kind of what we're going.
Yeah, and we definitely are starting to see, the results of, the benefits of just building your own engine straight up. Despite a lot of, maybe sentiment from the initial, maybe like NFT holders and or original fans, right? But now, for my end, I'm just really happy, especially shout outs to the guys over at the YGG Guild House, who are our MMORPG sub guild for Yield Guild Games. And yeah, we've been waiting for this for a very long time. And yeah, we're finally here, guys, just a few months away. So Ben, it's always a great time to have you guys over from Ember Sword to join us. And it's been a great progress since from Ultra Jeep, and we're happy to see that.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for, reaching out to us to put this together. I'm sure it's not the last time that we will have you on, or maybe I'll jump into one of your AMAs on your side and spread the good word about YGG. But on that note, guys, like I said, fill out that form for the giveaway. I will be closing it in like an hour or two. So really, again, that giveaway is only for the people that attended the stream, that are participating, that obviously heard the secret word about what's going on. So you've got maybe an hour or two to finish filling that out if you haven't already, and then I'm closing it, and we will choose the winners, you know, in the next coming days, and then get those rewards out. So thanks again, Ben and the Ember Sword team, for, you know, putting that up for our community. Much appreciated.
Thank you. And if you haven't already, then please head to embersword.com and play and tell us what you think.
Yeah, and follow them on their socials too, guys, right? Hop in their Discord, follow them on Twitter, show them some love, right? You like the game, let them know. That's how these games get exposure, and that's how they can continue building the great stuff that they're all working on, right? So again, great. Thank you so much, Ben, for joining us. Thank you, Sedano, as always, for helping me host here, and we will catch you guys in the metaverse. Together we play.
Cheers. See you guys around.
Thanks a lot.